And good day, this is Barry, K6ZA. And we have a new Tesla here. And I do a lot of mobiling, but I'm not sure exactly how to install my radio and antenna in this vehicle. The top is all glass, so there's no real way to mount an antenna on the glass roof. The roof, of course, is the best place for a mobile antenna, generally providing you a ground plane that's very effective. So the issue is how to get an antenna on this car without disrupting a lot of, or drilling holes or doing anything invasive, and still make it clean and looking decent. So that's the challenge today. Let's see if we can accomplish it as we try to put radio into this new Tesla Model Y. In this video, we'll be installing these components that you're looking at. The radio is the FTM 500D, fairly recently purchased. Look at the plastic on the cover. It has a microphone that plugs into the head, so no need to run a second control cable from wherever you mount the base section of this radio, which we'll see later. The antenna, this is the Moonraker antenna. DX Engineering has these, and very, very strong neodymium magnets, or magnet on the bottom, will hold very nicely to the rear surface of the vehicle, which is metal, and it's pretty firm hold on that. Up front, we're going to mount the head. I'm going to lose this piece here. It comes off. With this Lido mount. You can get this on Amazon. And the reason I like it so much is it articulates at two places, so you can mount it in your cup holder any way you want and relocate it, and it'll stay put where you place it. And you can, of course, take it out when you want to remove it from the vehicle. I never like to leave my radios in the vehicle. So this allows me to pull it out, maybe put it under the seat, and nobody knows it's there. Installation of the Lido mount to the FTM 500 is fairly straightforward. If you look at the back, you'll see that there is a screw hole there in the middle, and the piece of the Lido mount that connects to the large mount unit is right here, and it simply screws on with a Phillips screwdriver. The connection after that, using the mount itself, requires this little flippy piece that I told you not to lose earlier, and it goes over the connection point here. And then we pop in, and it does pop in kind of like a ball and socket, and then you tighten it down. With the mount screw, and there you have the mount unit connected to the radio. The control cable runs underneath the mats on the floor, so there's no need to drill any holes. Goes into the head and is the only control you need as long as you've got the microphone plugged into the head. This is all you need. So this is a standard computer flat cable. So I like the flat cable because it lays very flat on the ground, doesn't make any bumps, and then you can put it down underneath and get it out of the way when you're not using it, and nobody will even know it's there. Here's the way I've set mine up: out of the way of the steering wheel, folded back slightly, extremely easy to get to, and the functionality is preserved. So it's a very clean installation, as I say. Taking it down simply is a matter of loosening it, pulling it out, and then disassembling it in just a matter of a few minutes. We have plenty of room to mount the base unit in the back of the vehicle. If you lift up the cover in the back, you'll find a deep well, and you can use that for suitcases. In this case, I'm going to use it to mount the base unit of the FTM 500, and you can take a look at that. Right now it's just laying in there. I will prepare a board so it won't shift, move around, and it's doesn't take up a lot of space. The base unit itself is quite small. Notice I have the flat cable that you saw up front running, and then it goes up into underneath the seat and underneath the mat, so it's virtually invisible. If you look at the power cable, you'll see that I've made a little shorty connection here. The shorty connection from the connector that comes with the radio and then out to a power poles, and I use these on all of my power leads for every radio and on my batteries, so I can plug them in easily. So that brings us to the question of how we're going to power the radio. And powering the radio is a concern, and we'll tell you about that right now. So the next question that arises is, how shall we power the FTM 500? We have some choices. We can power it from the Tesla itself. There is a plug in the back, actually, right up in the corner. And that plug is a cigarette lighter plug, so you can theoretically just plug an input in there and then run it into your radio. However, the voltage coming from that battery is a little high. It's about 15.2 volts. So you're running the voltage a little higher than you want as the input of your FTM 500. Now there are components you can insert in the line to drop the voltage if you wish. Buck converters will do that, but my choice is to use a 12 volt battery, and the battery I chose is the Yaesu. This happens to be a 12 volt 12 amp, and I guess it really depends upon how much time you're going to be using this radio in the vehicle between charging the battery. If you're going out for a day's adventure, you're going to be in an event for the day, then this should handle your needs just fine. Put the radio into medium power, and that'll give you about 25 watts. And for most 2-meter 440 activity, that should be fine. So a lithium iron phosphate battery. This one weighs, maybe 1.5 pounds. It's really very, very light. Or if you have the money, you can buy a bigger one. I have a 20 amp as well. And that'll take me the full day, maybe a couple of days of operation before I have to think about charging the battery. This way it keeps it away from any of the connection to the car itself, and just makes it a self-contained operation. You can carry a couple of these batteries with you, so if you miscalculate and start to run down, you can always just pop over to a second battery. They're becoming cheap enough so you can have a couple of spares hanging around there that are all charged up and ready to go. Okay, the antenna, the final frontier. How are we going to mount this most effectively? Well, let's take a look at what I've done and see if that works for you. Ah, sheer beauty. How clean and beautiful. Well, not really. Gotta have a wire somewhere, right? You can't be a ham without having a wire somewhere. And there it is. There's the telltale wire. But, all in all, if you are going to take this down, it will take 2 seconds to do it. And if you want to put it back up, it'll take about the same amount of time to do that. So how do you run that wire? I'll show you. The cool part is the coax is so thin that it tucks neatly into the crevice between the roof glass and the trunk lip itself. There's no real way without drilling a hole to get into the trunk compartment. So the alternative is just to run it along the side. And if I look a little bit more carefully, you'll see that there's a little niche, a little notch right here. That notch is just absolutely perfectly located for the wire, so it doesn't crimp it anywhere. And then a little piece of green tape will keep it in place for the time you're using it. Now, this is not a permanent installation. Obviously, this is an installation that you will use periodically. And when you're finished with it, you can take it down in a second or two and you're back to full function. And when it closes up, it's fairly clean. So I hope that helps a little bit with installing a radio in the Tesla. It can be a challenge, but I'm sure you guys are up to it. And if you have any comments, please put them in the area below. And good luck to you.